Good evening and welcome to the August 26th meeting of the Speedway Redevelopment Commission. I'll call the meeting to order at 6:02. With me this evening is our Vice President, Jacob Blaisdell, our Secretary, Chris Meter, our members, Rhonda Schwartz and Adam Young. Our school representative is also with us, Eric Rosebrough, our Economic Director, Carmen Lethig, and in the audience this evening is our Executive Assistant, Eder Lopez, and our Parks and Rec Director, Tammy Smith. I have called the meeting to order. We confirm that we have a quorum and proper notice of the meeting has been given. There is no one of the public in the audience with us tonight. No previous comments received as well. Moving on to the consent of the regular session meeting minutes from our previous July meeting. Those were previously distributed. Any other edits or comments? Seeing none, we will approve those by consent. Next on the agenda is the approval of claims and expenses for the month. Carmen, would you like to highlight any?
Yeah, so there are a couple things I'd like to highlight for you guys. The first being the Bomar Industries design fee for the roundabout. This is for the design of the metal fabricated sign that is going potentially to be in the roundabout. We'll actually talk about this a little bit later on the agenda, but this particular claim is for $15,000. Our memorandum of understanding with them was for a total of $20,000, so we're withholding the $5,000 until we complete that design completely with choosing the photographs for the sign. You'll see there's a gate arm repair on there. That was for the USAC lot, correct? I think, right, Eder? It had broke, so we repaired that after the 500 was over. Water resistant adhesive, I had to ask what that meant. But basically it's paper that we use to print for signage for when we do events and things like that. And then the only other thing I wanted to call out was the very last claim for Veritas Group. This is for project management for the Speedway Gateway. And this will be the last claim that you'll see for project management of the Gateway sign project.
We'll likely have another expense coming up for the sign itself.
The construction, we'll have that probably on next month's claims. The claim for the redevelopment commission's commitment for the construction of the sign itself. So,
any questions for Carmen?
Nope.
All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion we approve the claims as submitted.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is back to Carmen for our director's report.
yeah, okay. So one thing I did want to mention is that I have been working with the City of Indianapolis and the state on a tax abatement request for by OMR, a business on Main Street. So ultimately, this is going to be on the council's agenda tonight for vote. So the Redevelopment Commission doesn't have to vote on it, but I'm, helping out with moving that forward. So they are asking for a tax abatement for new equipment to make oil pans, and I had to write this down so I didn't say bed pans, oil pans, and bed plates for vehicles. So I've been working with the city and OMR for like the past several months to kind of hash out the details and what that really looks like. But I think it's a positive that will result in, one of our Main Street businesses really to be able to continue to be successful in bringing in new jobs. And they're actually, some of the manufacturing they're bringing back to the United States. So I think that's a positive, and we're happy to be able to continue to support their continued business in this town. So there's that. I'm working on something similar with Delara. I don't have all the details yet, but it's the same kind of concept that they're bringing in new equipment for some of the changes they're making with bringing Purdue Motorsports into their building and onto Main Street. And then finally, I want to update everyone that there is a site in Founders Square where a Montessori daycare is going to be built. So it's very exciting. Construction is not starting yet. They don't have all of their permits, but I wanted everyone to be aware in case you saw movement on that site this week. They're just doing like the prep work and making sure that the site is, is being prepared for the construction. But it'll be, I believe, a few more weeks at a minimum before construction will start. I think that's all I have.
Do you know if the senior apartments are officially open right next door? I've seen some furniture on balconies, but not a lot of cars. So-
Yeah, they are officially open. I'm actually meeting with them in a couple weeks. I'm going to go and get a tour and talk to the developers. But we haven't, I don't think we had like a ribbon cutting or anything like that. We didn't, did we?
No.
Maybe we
Okay.
can work on it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've reached out to him, but I haven't heard anything back, so maybe that'd be a good time to.
Yeah, I'll ask.
Yeah.
I'll ask my contact if we can do something like that. Yep.
Great. Any other questions for Carmen? Great, thank you. We have 3 new items of business on our agenda this evening. The first one is an agreement with MHG. Carmen, can you introduce that to us?
Yes, so this is what will be the final vacant lot in Founders Square. So it's going to be sold to develop a Marriott hotel. And the Redevelopment Commission and actually prior to me starting, Grant had been working with the hotel developer for a while to basically come up with a kind of agreement that we could all feel good about because the hotel developer asked the Redevelopment Commission to allow him the ability to appeal his taxes if they are too high. And this is something that actually is not allowed by the current agreement, the Economic Development Agreement between the Redevelopment Commission and the current owners of the site. So we worked for several months to be able to come up with an agreement that we all felt comfortable with, and that's what is before you tonight. Basically, we have built into this agreement that he has to build a Marriott hotel. He has to start construction within 2.5 years, and then finish within 2 years of starting that construction. But he only has to pay a minimum tax amount of $140,000, which is a number that we came up with based on the assessed value of other similar hotels and what we think that is likely to be a sort of minimum tax payment that he will have in the future. He only has to pay that if the property falls into disrepair because of his own neglect. And in exchange, he has the right to appeal the property taxes if there is a national event that causes his business to basically not be as steady as it might be, i.e. something like a COVID or a 9/11, for example. So the agreement that you guys have, and you've seen the agreement before you tonight, is basically what we have all come together to feel comfortable with. And then he will purchase the property from the current owners in the next couple weeks. I should say probably in the next 6 weeks because he's out of the country currently. But he said when he comes back, there will be a closing.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Carmen?
So just for clarity, 2.5 years is kind of the time frame that construction would need to start. So realistically, purchase of property could happen in a few weeks, and nothing technically would have to be started for 2.5 years by this agreement.
Correct.
And then once that 2.5 year mark, but it could start in a month.
Could start in a month.
It's just within that kind of arrangement. And then once it is in fact started, then a 2-year completion date. So technically, it could be 4.5 years until we actually see a building if it went to the full complexity of what this agreement states,
That's correct. Yes.
And I think, obviously, he fought for a more conservative schedule, just not knowing what could happen. But one of the things he explained was a lot of the approval processes that he has to go through with Marriott in order to get to the final drawings and stuff like that.
Do we have any other understanding of, so it's a Marriott property. Mm-hmm. Do we have any other understanding of the type of hotel that this is.
Yeah, it's a Marriott extended stay hotel. It's the higher end of an extended stay hotel. It has to be the Marriott brand.
Okay. So extended stay, I would look at like week, month, day. People can choose anything there. I mean, when we hear extended stay, how do we interpret that, or how do you guys interpret that?
I mean, I don't have the cut sheet in front of me. We do have that, but I believe that it can be, you know, it's usually a longer stay. So like a week is typical, I believe, is what he said. But I don't know if they can go for like 30 days at a time, or if they have to go week by week. I don't remember that.
Okay.
The rooms are a little bit bigger though too, right? I mean, they're like a little, like maybe a small kitchen type
yes.
thing to kind of be a little nicer for a longer stay. And so I think the per night cost is a little bit higher because of that as well.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And I believe in the agreement too, it speaks to on the payment and having that minimum threshold, there is a small increase year over year that kind of helps in protecting that bond payment. Is that correct?
I don't think we have that in there anymore, since we don't have the minimum. We're not requiring him to pay a minimum any longer. So if he would have to go into that minimum payment amount, there in the clause that he has to basically negotiate with us what that payment looks like. But we don't have that scale in there anymore because we're not setting up the agreement that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, one thing here, he has produced two nice products here on Speedway, the Hampton Inn and the Courtyard by Marriott, so that's encouraging.
It might be worth mentioning that this doesn't mean the project's going to happen, right? Like, this is his option now. That gives him a little bit of flexibility so that he can appeal property taxes. If he doesn't do it in a time frame, then that option effectively expires. But this, I mean, he sounds very serious. It sounds like he's going to purchase the property if we approve this agreement. But I just thought it might be worth noting that we're not entering into any kind of we're not issuing more debt or anything like to incentivize the project. It's just he now has the option to buy it with some flexibility, but it doesn't mean it's necessarily going to happen.
Right. I mean, he could still buy the property without this agreement. He's not buying the property from us. He's buying the property from the owner who bought it from us several years ago. So this agreement was just something that we worked with him, so he had the ability to appeal his taxes should there be some event out of his control that affected the bottom line, basically.
And this is, again, just wanted to clarify, this is our last lot that hasn't been developed
Yes,
in that space.
right.
And it's more towards the back of our current developed area there in Founders.
Up
right?
against the highway.
Yes.
So it does kind of sit in a perceived way, maybe in a more of an undesirable, not front face road area. Would that be fair?
I think so. That's a fair statement.
It's hard to get to. Mm-hmm. That's great. But
Any other questions or comments? Appreciate the discussion. All right, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the taxpayer obligations agreement grant of real property tax lien as presented.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. All right, our next item is a revised memorandum of understanding between the Speedway Redevelopment Commission and BOMAR. Carmen?
Yeah, so I alluded to this earlier when we were talking about the claims, but yeah, so in front of you, we have the revised MOU between BOMAR and the SRC. BOMAR sent in a claim, so you guys approved this earlier this spring, and so BOMAR sent in their claim for, it was $20,000 originally, several weeks ago, and I did not realize this, but the claim did not get paid because the originally drafted MOU was insufficient. So we had the MOU edited. And so basically the first line of the MOU and the last paragraph, I'm sorry, we kind of edit it so it would read that it would basically, let me just read what it said before. The previous agreement said the SRC agrees to pay BOMAR for the services should the full project not be realized, and there just needed to be a little bit more detail about what would happen if the project wasn't realized. So it's updated to say, in the event that the SRC does not proceed with the project depicted in the renderings provided by BOMAR, the SRC shall still pay BOMAR a design fee in the amount of $20,000. Just needed some more detail. So you guys have that in front of you, and we'll approve it, and then the claim that came in today will be able to be processed for BOMAR's services.
I probably should have asked this question earlier, but is there a timeline on that or undetermined? Obviously, we're working as a group to raise dollars to make this thing happen, and we all are really excited about it, but just not sure when exactly that will.
So I think that we left it without a timeline in order to give us leeway for raising the funds. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
And we've talked to BOMAR. They know what's happening. They know what's going on. They're fine with it. They've been great to work with. So just needed to do this official business to get it paid for them.
Thanks for that. All right, I will go ahead and entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion for the revised memorandum of understanding between the Speedway Redevelopment Commission and BOMAR.
I'll second.
Great, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. All right, last on our new business this evening is a quick Wilshaw update from Carmen.
I am going to just read this off of a piece of paper, if you don't mind. Yes, so here is an update about the Wilshaw Hotel project. Earlier this year, legal action was initiated by Indianapolis Mortgage Holder 1 LLC, an affiliate of 33 Degrees and Hotel Equities. The legal action was to foreclose its mortgage on the Wilshaw Hotel site, which is owned by Wilshaw Hotel LLC. The town is not a party to that lawsuit, but the town continues to monitor the litigation. In that lawsuit, the various defendants have obtained time extensions from the court, extending their deadlines for filing any formal response to the complaint initiated by Indianapolis Mortgage Holder 1 LLC. Other than the initial complaint, there have not been any substantive filings in the lawsuit to date. The town remains in communication with the various parties to try to facilitate development of the project. The town continues to carefully evaluate its options to bring a resolution to this project that protects the town and its citizens. The town will continue to evaluate any additional actions necessary as the situation unfolds. The town has not ruled out taking legal action to protect the town's interests.
Thank you. Any questions for Carmen? All right. We'll move on to our, it's listed as old business, but I don't like to claim it as that. Miss Tammy, could you please come up and...
Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Hey.
Ed's passing out a small packet I put together. I just want to start off by thanking the SRC for continuing to allow parks the opportunity to park during the month of May, as well as Brickyard this year. So I put together a summary of the parking over the last 3 years for the month of May, as well as the Brickyard. The second page shows the Brickyard. Obviously, parks cannot do that on their own. I couldn't park 3 lots with myself and the one volunteer that parks with me all the time. So we've reached out to other groups. Back in 22, the Speedway Youth Football was the group that gave us a lot of volunteers, and they were able to benefit from that effort. And there was a change of people running that program, and they were unable to provide us any help the next year. So we reached out to band boosters, and they were able to get us volunteers. And then we obviously asked band boosters again this year, and they came through for us again this year. So I've got it broken down. We kind of did a 70-30 split. So when band works a lot, the different shifts that they work, if they work that lot the whole time, they get 70% of what's collected, and Parks gets 30%. And then if it's Parks volunteers, Parks gets 100%. And then we just prorate based on the shifts. So that's worked out very well. And just to summarize, for this year, the band was able to raise $6,415 for their efforts, and Parks was able to collect $10,925 for a total of $17,340. So it has helped us greatly. The funds that we use for this is to help us with a lot of our youth programs when we need some supplies, especially the out of summer camp type programs. Summer camp, we have a great partnership with the schools that we work with. So this is kind of in addition, or, separate from the school type things. And then this year, it's been extra beneficial because we have seen quite a bit of vandalism in the parks, and we are experiencing some deterioration in our playgrounds pretty heavily, and we've had to get some new equipment that we've out of warranty, and we've actually used some of this funds to help get that when one of the companies was able to offer us a discount, and it was only good for so long. And so I made the suggestion to use parking money for that, and the Parks Board approved that. So that has been very helpful to us this year. So thank you again. Again, the second page is the Brickyard. We did not have Brickyard parking last year. I believe I was on vacation during that weekend, and we did not have the volunteers to be able to do that without me on site. And then the third page is I put together a bit of an update on the plaza that's on Main Street. I kind of put down we had the opening and ribbon cutting ceremony in April. We had the band. I put down the cost of that band, $700. We had a sponsor, the Speedway Suites, that donated $750. We did have to get a porta potty, so Parks covered that at $154, and Parks also made the signage, the poster signage for the day of event for the sponsors, the $50 there. So, and I just kind of broke it down, the $750 we received, $904 expenses, and Parks covered the $154 difference. We also used the plaza. OSCNA, Old Speedway City Neighborhood Association, did a members ice cream social at the plaza on Sunday, August 4th. We did not charge them anything. They are a local 501c3, and as a goodwill gesture, we did let them use the area for that. We do have some upcoming events. This Friday, August 30th, Under the Radar Band will be playing, and they gave us a very big discount on their fee. And then they will be performing 6 to 8 p.m. this Friday. Saturday, September 14th, Jazz on Main, sponsored by Speedway Chamber, the Gene Markowitz Band, from 7 to 9. And then Saturday, September 21st, the Spark Coffee Shop is sponsoring a Spark Fest. That will be from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And I did put a flyer for their festival. That's the 4th page of your packet there. And I did put a couple of requests down here. One is, we are hoping to reach out to more sponsors where we can have that dedicated sponsor money for the plaza. We currently have dedicated sponsors for our summer concerts. We hope to be able to build some up, so if you, in your dealings with people, want to make that suggestion on our behalf, we would greatly appreciate it, to where we can start scheduling more stuff on the Main Street stage. And then the other thing is, We do recognize, we do feel it might be a good idea to maybe put a message board there to be able to post when we have upcoming events for people that are walking up and down Main Street. Just a small message board that could be no bigger than this, that we could slide a paper in possibly. It could be right next to the Plaza on Main sign that's there with our rules, or next to it. So those are just a few requests that I wanted to put out there. But other than that, if anybody has any questions, I love talking about parks and events and all that jazz.
You do an amazing job, and I really appreciate it. It's been fun. You know, we took this first year with the plaza to kind of brainstorm and have fun and see what happens and what the community comes to us with and what we can kind of dream up. So I'm excited to continue that coordination with you and really make it a lively space. So appreciate all you've done so far.
Yeah, and it is new, and we are still trying to feel all the different things we might want to offer in that space. But we hope moving forward into next year that we might have some set guidelines that'll help us with that. Anything else?
Thank you for all your efforts.
Yeah.
Yep, you do great.
And the parking stuff is great.
So this is more of a technology. I just thought of it as you asked about the sign. But since we've got the stage and it's got a backdrop to that stage, I'm wondering if there could be like a visual, you know, you can have something like beamed up to the back of the stage to help advertise. And
I know Cheryl's been, how do I say, brainstorming on potential movie nights there as well.
Yeah.
So I think
And
as
we-
technology continues to advance, there might be some opportunity.
Yeah, that was actually something we were talking about with parks as well, is to potentially do a movie night. Or next year, one of the things possibly having some kind of a summer camp or kids camp, it may not have to be in the summer, to where they come and maybe make puppets and write a puppet show and then perform it on the stage. Something along those lines where we can incorporate the youth.
Skits or something, yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for these upcoming events and hopefully some cooler weather to
Yeah,
go with
and we
it.
may be doing a karaoke night there sometime.
Oh, geez.
We're in the works for that as well.
Me. Great, thank you so much.
Tanner, I just want to say real quick, the parking stuff, appreciate you doing that. It's a lot of work. And SRC, I got to see way back when SRC was just kind of juggling a lot of different parking lots. Tim Gropp having to do a lot with that. And you've organized this, and you organize the volunteers. It's a good way for the parks to make some money and different community groups to make money for themselves as well. So really appreciate that you do that, and we're not having to handle that. So thank you, and you're doing a great job with it.
Thank you.
Well, again, like I said, thank you for the opportunity because it does help us out a lot.
Great,
Yeah.
Thank you.
thank you. All right, I don't see anything else on our agenda this evening. We will see you at the plaza on, Friday at 6 p.m. and
Yeah, there's a couple other events coming up in September. September 12th, the Speedway Event Center that's attached to the Hampton Inn will be having, they invite the public to come and look at the facility. There's a bar, a restaurant in there. It's from 4 to 7 on September 12th, and the ribbon cutting will be at 4 o'clock that day. And then, as she said, the Jazz on Main is September 14th from 7 to 9. And the Taste of Speedway is October 3rd from 5 to 7. So tickets are available on Eventbrite, or starting Wednesday, you can get them at Be Aaron Designs.
come out and celebrate my birthday. Love it.
Yeah, there you go.
And there's a new community calendar, too.
Yes.
It's full of
Yeah.
a lot of things that I've been going to, like, what's coming up, so.
Yeah, it's a great thing to keep track of. That's awesome. All right, we will adjourn the meeting at 6:31.